Welcome to Minding My Money. I'm your host, Shawnee, and this is where the journey to financial freedom is real, raw, and a little bit fun. I'm sharing my wins, my lessons, and everything in between, $1 at a time. Now, before we jump in, let me say this. This ain't financial advice, just financial realness. When I finally passed the NCLEX and became a nurse, I thought it was the beginning of everything I had ever worked for. But my first nursing job didn't quite feel like that. It didn't feel like a dream. Honestly, I hate to say it, it felt like a trap. So here's the thing. I had watched all of my classmates get hired before they even passed the boards or even went before the boards, while I struggled to get a single callback. A nursing instructor finally helped me land a job across the state line. It was supposed to be a fresh start, but it was full of microaggressions, isolation, and burnout. I was one of the very few people of color in the building trying to save lives while surviving the workplace politics. And every time I clock in, I felt like I was clocking out of myself. I was far from lazy, I wasn't ungrateful, but I was stuck in survival mode, working a job that didn't match my soul. And that's when I started dreaming of my spaceship. So let's go down the line. My first hospital job, super routine, nothing special, just me trying to get experience under my belt. Then I transferred to another hospital due to low census, low pay, and I still felt stuck. And I wasn't there too long, and then I went to the competition system, and I fell in love with a pediatric hospital that I eventually started to work for. And I absolutely love working with the kids, like loved it. The part that made it difficult was the mean girls in scrubs. Again, with the microaggressions, backhanded comments, and the constant disrespect. My other work counterparts will say the wildest things. So, for instance, I live in the South, and one of the coworkers of mine, this is exactly what she said to me. I remember it like it was yesterday. She said to me randomly, "I bet you go home and you eat neck bones, don't you?" Now, here's the thing. If I had snapped, I'd be labeled the angry black woman and everybody's afraid of me, right? I'm the bully in this situation. I'm the villain. So I had learned to swallow the pain and I kept showing up anyway. I poured everything into that job, pulled extra shifts, worked through sicknesses, pushed myself to the limit. And for what? Penny for raises, constant burnout, and absolutely no appreciation. Eventually, I moved to the pediatric clinic while I was trying to get through grad school. So I did take a pay cut just for a little peace of mind, and for a while, I found it, a team that felt like family. But peace doesn't last long when leadership doesn't value you. I was told I wasn't ready to lead, while others with way less experience got promoted. And the crazy part is, I was written up for the wildest things. Are you guys ready? So this is why I was written up. All right. So where I worked, we had a mini fridge because it's a clinic. And it's like one of those little dorm room fridge that your mom gets you when you go off to college. You probably can get like some small, I don't know, Lunchables in and maybe like a few little soda drinks or whatever. We shared that as a team of, I don't know, 15 people, right? And everyone was complaining about this one coworker who left her birth control in the refrigerator, okay? And I'm one of those people, like, I don't like all the talking behind people's backs and all of that. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let me email the director and maybe she could do something about this issue, right? And so I sent the email. And I was told that I needed to have a conversation with my coworker about her birth control. Well, I'm going to be honest. I didn't have that conversation. I'm going to tell you why. One, she was new and I didn't have that rapport. And two, I was not about to fall in the trap of bullying someone else and saying that I am the aggressive black female, right? I'm just being honest. That's how I felt in real time, okay? So as a result, I was written up literally, and I have the proof. I was written up for not talking to someone about their birth control. Although I felt that the most sensitive way to handle it is to allow leadership to have that conversation with unsaid coworker. But anyway, after that position, I landed another position. And I'm going to be honest, and I know this is probably going to sound so bad that I'm saying this, but I thought this is going to be my dream position. Like I am ready to be inspired. I had never seen leadership that, looked like me, especially in my career field. I told you, I was one of few, right? And I thought, man, I'm going to learn so much. I'm going to be so inspired. And I'm not going to be labeled because they're going to understand, right? Wrong. They were the worst leaders I had ever had in my nursing career. And what I learned over time, and this may apply to anybody who's ever worked in any healthcare system, right? If you don't play along with the politics, they really push you out. My next role within my field, 15 people in my department left that same year. And on top of that, they would praise me one day and discipline me the next. And I felt like every day I was breaking. But a few months later, that breakdown turned into a breakthrough. I landed the job I have now. I work remotely and it's very peaceful. I'm pretty well paid and we have some pretty decent leadership within the company that I've seen so far. So hear me when I say, being good at your job doesn't mean you're fulfilled. Pretending to be okay just to keep the peace will absolutely wear you down. And every time I clocked in, I left a piece of myself behind. And that's when I knew I wasn't just working, I was building a way out. When things got heavy, I would escape in my mind. I daydreamed about a different life, a life where I worked from home, a life where I shared my story on YouTube, a life where I felt not used, not drained, and definitely not diminished. I wanted freedom financially, emotionally, and spiritually. I wanted to stop working in spaces where I had to shrink or shut up just to survive. So I fantasized about a different path. I visualized myself leaving the upstairs bedroom at my mom's house. I started moving my body around. I leaned on my partner and I surrounded myself with real support. Also, I overly played one of my favorite gospel songs called God Provides on repeat and let the tears fall when no one was watching. I wrote, I prayed, I manifested. I dreamed like life depended on it because honestly, it did. And my body showed up to work, but my soul was designing a new life. I have heard real bosses move in silence, and I did just that, especially when I was ready to move on from my previous role. So behind the scenes, I researched jobs that align with my values. I studied salary ranges and learned what I was worth. I watched budgeting and credit repair videos. I took free courses, studied YouTube creators, and listened to podcasts that reminded me I wasn't alone. It took me 8 years to start my YouTube channel, years to rebuild my courage to podcast, but now I'm here. I no longer shrink to fit in. I no longer stay in rooms where I'm surviving instead of thriving. See, the old me stayed loyal to jobs that drained me. The new me is loyal to peace, purpose, and progress. There's a special kind of exhaustion that comes from showing up physically while being gone mentally. I'd clock in, smile, and do my job. But my mind was somewhere else, calculating how many shifts I needed, how much longer I could tolerate the disrespect, and how much patience I had left. That wasn't laziness, that was awareness. My spirit already knew what my situation hadn't caught up to yet. You see, the only money I had invested back then was really my retirement plan. I didn't have any real connections, I didn't have any leverage. What I had was time. So I used my off days to plan, my breaks to dream, and my exhaustion as fuel instead of defeat. Because every clock out reminded me this isn't permanent. One of the hardest parts wasn't the workload, it was staying professional while being disrespected and bullied. Knowing if I raised my voice and took up for myself, I'd be labeled. Knowing silence was safer but heavier. So I documented, I observed, I learned how to protect my peace while preparing my exit. That's not weakness, but daydreaming saved me. Every vision was a reminder that this wasn't all there was, that my story didn't end at a bad swipe or time clock. I wasn't disconnecting, I was preparing. See, there comes a moment when your environment starts rejecting who you're becoming. You feel cramped, restless, and misunderstood. That's just growth outpacing the room. Not every move needs to be an announcement. Some of the most powerful work I did happened quietly, in notebooks, late night searches, and whispered prayers. Progress doesn't always look loud, sometimes it looks like patience. A spaceship doesn't launch the moment it's imagined. It gets built, is tested, and adjusted. I wasn't stuck, I was assembling parts, and every delay taught me something I needed to know. And by the time I finally exited those spaces, I had already left mentally. I knew who I was, what I deserved, and what I would no longer tolerate. Leaving didn't hurt, staying would. So I tell myself that that dream wasn't random, that restlessness wasn't rebellion, it was direction for me. I wasn't meant to stay there, I was meant to rise from there. So let's end this way. Kanye said it best. If my manager insults me again, I will be assaulting him. But instead of throwing hands, I threw strategy, I threw prayer, I threw persistence, and I built my way out. My spaceship might not be fully launched, but baby, I've already left the ground. If you're still clocking in and dreaming quietly, hear me. You're not behind, you're building. We all have a spaceship. Some of us are just assembling it $1 at a time. So I want to affirm, I am not where I started. I am not where I'll end. I'm somewhere in between, but I'm still rising. Thanks for tuning into Minding My Money, where every dollar has a story and every story brings us closer to financial freedom. If you felt inspired, learned something new, or just vibe with the journey, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs it. You can also catch more content and behind-the-scenes moments on YouTube and Instagram. Just search Minding My Money. Until next time, keep minding your money $1 at a time.